Hello and welcome to this video review of the MOZA HGP shifter. This is a gear stick attachment for MOZA's line of sim racing rigs, and it allows you to change gear manually instead of using the paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel. This has an actual gear stick. You can change first to second, third and so on. And I've not used one of these before on a sim racing rig, so I'm keen to see how close it is to a real car. Coming from England myself, I do use a manual stick shift in the car that I drive every day. So it's going to be interesting to see how close it is to real life in that respect. Now, full disclosure, in the past I have done one sponsored video from MOZA who actually have given me a sim racing rig to use for my channel. So obviously you can take or leave my opinion, but as with the review of that, I'm going to be completely honest in what I think of this. It's not going to sway my decision, but just so you know, you don't have to listen to what I have to say. But what we're going to do now is unbox it on camera, and then I'm going to set it up and try it out. So let's go. There we are. This is the HGP shifter. Fresh out of the cardboard packing, and it says MOZA Racing on the top. So let's have a look inside. Open straight away. First thing I'm met with is the top of the gear shifter itself. That is a ball. It feels like metal. Let's have a look. Let's get it out. Yeah, it smells like new racing sim technology. Yeah, it looks a little bit like the golden snitch, but not golden. So that's got a hole in the bottom there where you attach it to the top of the gear stick. Next up is a bag with a USB cable in it. And this is the kind that usually goes in a printer, a large one, which the MOZA unit itself, the base unit, actually uses. So you're going to need at least 3 USB sockets on your computer, because you need one for the pedals and one for the base unit and now one for the gear shift as well. But yeah, that's a standard USB cable. Next up we have a bag with loose bits in it. There's a cable here, looks like an Ethernet cable, but can be extended like that, so that is springy. So that's Ethernet. That's going to attach it to presumably the base, but we'll see, I'm not sure. I don't think there's a slot on the back of the base for it. I know there's one for the e-brake, but I don't think there is for a stick shift. Also got in here 4 screws, washers and an Allen key in another bag. That would be for mounting, although my sim rig doesn't have anything for that, so I think we might be hitting a snag. We won't be able to actually mount it to anything. Well, let's see. Okay, and then we've got the stick shift itself. There it comes. So we've got reverse, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. So Formula 1 games are actually one short then. You won't be able to go up to 8th gear, because they do have 8 gears now in some racing cars. But never mind. I mean, modern Formula 1 cars, in fairness, don't have stick shifters. So I think for any car that would actually have a stick shift, I think that's fine. There's a little bit of dust on that. But otherwise, looks lovely. It's a very similar build quality to the other products in the range. So yeah, on the back you've got USB and transit sockets. So transit is what the Ethernet cable goes into, but I don't know what the other end is going to go into, because there's only an e-brake or e-stop socket on the back of the actual MOZA unit, the base unit. So I don't know where that's going to attach, but we'll see. Perhaps there's something else in the box. No, there's nothing else in the box. So I don't know what that's going to attach to. In fact, there are no instructions. How strange. So it's the 7 gears plus R, so that's reverse. Aeroplane grade aluminium, certainly does feel very sturdy. Realistic feeling, yep. H pattern with locked R and 7th gear. Locked 7th gear, and it suggests that you have to push it down. There's a little arrow on there. Can you see that? Yeah. So pushing down on it to get reverse gear, and a replaceable shifter knob. In case, like Nigel Mansell, you want to use your existing one. Okay, let's set it up and have a go. So we're here sat in the Lotus Exige at Silverstone. This is the GP layout, and the game is Assetto Corsa. So I've got the gear shift mounted to a piece of wood. This is only a temporary setup because I do hope to get a proper sim rig soon when I get space to do it, because the living room is not really set up for this. But I can imagine a lot of people will have a similar setup in that it's pretty makeshift. I want to prove it can work. So we're starting off in neutral here. The Lotus Exige is no slouch, so it's going to be quite quick, but not too quick. So I'm hoping that I won't spin off too much, but let's see. So we're sat here in neutral, going to depress the clutch, give it some revs. The revs come up on my little MOZA monitor here, into first gear and lift up the clutch, and away we go. So not too fast, going to go into second gear, and then brakes and gently round the hairpin. Now that wasn't so fast that the rears will lock up during deceleration, but that will be a problem in a minute. So clutch in, third gear, clutch out. I do drive a manual car in real life, and being British, the gears are on the left here. So my Ghost has overtaken me, but I'm going to decelerate to third, and that's pretty good. Bit of oversteer. I guess the tyres will be cold. Third gear, fourth gear. The force feedback's quite hard. I've turned it down a bit. Okay, so third, second, stay on the track. No, couldn't stay on. That's actually a lot better than I did last time you saw my Ghost. So I'm just going to try and get used to it, basically. So second gear, turn in, feed in the power. Third gear, it's nice. I won't change on the apex, I think, which is the straight. Fourth gear, okay, good. Can we go up to fifth? Yes, okay, and now I'm going to decelerate, fourth and third. That wasn't ideal, I had the clutch in a long time, but I don't want to lock the rear wheels. Just sliding a bit. Okay, down to second. That's not bad. Okay, hold the apex, start feeding the power. Third. So you're probably wondering what the problem is with downshifting, and that is something that MOZA has built in, is to have an auto blip, because otherwise the problem is the revs when you are decelerating are going to be low. Shifting into a lower gear is going to need them to be high when you come back out of the clutch, right? So when the engine is back in contact with the wheels, as it were. Oh, it's not good. Ah. No, I couldn't hold it. Yes, the problem is, if you are decelerating in a racing car, then the revs will drop, and then you'll change down a gear, and then when you let the clutch back up, those revs are going to be too low. So the engine is actually going to engine brake. I don't mean, you know, brake as in go kaput. I mean it's going to slow down the wheels, which is going to lock them up and cause you to spin. So this involves heel toe deceleration, where you use your toe on the brake and the heel to blip the throttle to get the engine up to the correct revs. I've never done it before. That was alright, I think. That was okay. I've never done that before, but that was my first heel-toe shift. The idea being then that the engine is running at a more appropriate level of revs for the rotations of the wheels. And I didn't do it right there, and that's why we've slid off. So the idea is that MOZA has given you the option to have automatic blip, so you don't have to do heel-toe. But honestly, I think if you're going to have the stick shift, you might as well learn to do it properly. Otherwise, what's the point? You know, it's like buying a Kawasaki Superbike and still having stabilizers on it. Setting up auto blip is actually very simple. All you have to do is go into the MOZA Pithouse app and make sure that the firmware version for your pedals and your H shifter are actually set up to the most recent version. Once you've done that, you go into the game, and I did have to recalibrate my controls with the wizard because of the new version of the firmware, and then I was able to just tweak my brake input so that I didn't have to push as hard, which undoubtedly helped a little bit. But I don't think that helped as much as the auto blip, because under braking, if I was pushing the brakes in and downshifting with the clutch, the game was obviously blipping the throttle to bring the revs up so that the wheels were not locking as I came out of the gear shift. instantly I beat my previous best, which is really quite something. But that said, even though it does make it easier, gives you a more arcadey experience, it's definitely easier for newcomers, I do think that it's like driving with the stabilizers on, as I say, so I'm actually going to switch this off again. It does work very well, and there are different calibration settings for it to make sure you get the perfect auto blip, but for me, I'd rather have manual blip, so let's go back full manual. Right, let's see if I can do some actual racing speed driving. It's all been a bit pedestrian so far. Did you see that? I used the paddle shifter, but it's not connected. That's just force of habit. The force feedback's quite strong. If it's too strong, I find you can't actually change gear with your left hand because the steering wheel starts flying around. And I'm not as strong as a Formula 1 driver was in the 80s. Okay. Gonna just come down to third there. Steer. Yes, good. Okay, decelerate. Stay in third, I think so. It's not my usual go-to car, the Lotus Exige, but I thought it would be a good middle ground. Fourth. So there is actually a sort of safety feature, so you can't get into seventh. I'm not going to get into seventh anyway on this straight, but you do have to depress it. I went from fifth to third there. It's not great for the engine, but I think we're going to make the corner. Yeah. Well, I'm getting used to it. Too fast. That's too fast. I held it. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Gone a bit wide. Yeah, it's good fun. That was quite a slide. My ghost is catching up to me. That's better. I ain't afraid of no ghost. There he is in my mirror, look. Why is he catching? I thought I had a decent enough exit. I'm going to stay in fourth. That was a heel toe. That was alright, wasn't it? Yeah, check me out. Go on, stay on the road, please. Yes. That was brilliant. Oh, I didn't get the fastest lap. What a shame. A good lap, though. All right, I'm going to try a different track. Right, I've chosen a 1970s Formula 1 car for the next part. Right, I have no idea what the grip levels will be like in this thing. I haven't driven it for a long while. And perhaps not even in this game. I think I drove it in one of the Formula 1 games. Okay, wow, it's fast. Oh my word. Okay, so for the chicane, down to third, down to second, third, down to second, get it in, hit the apex, it's pretty good. Third, fourth, third, that's all right. Fourth, hard on the brakes. Second gear, I was probably a bit slow into the corner, but better slow than off it. Good. Yeah. So it doesn't take that long to get the hang of it. But then, if you've never used manual gears in a road car before, whoops, But if you've never used manual gears in a road car before, I can imagine it'd be very difficult to learn this. Basically like learning to drive a car. Right, well that was cool. So in summary, I'm very impressed with the MOZA HGP shifter. I do think that pushing it down to get into 7th is not ideal. It's quite difficult to actually know which gear you're going into. You'd have to really get used to that. Indeed, you have to get used to it anyway. It's actually very difficult to just drive the car if you're not used to a stick shift. And even though I use a stick shift every day when I'm driving a road car, I found it hard just to stay on the track with this. I think the important takeaway from this is that if you're going to get a stick shifter, then you're starting to take your sim racing really seriously. So I don't actually see the point of auto blip. It's a newbie kind of a thing. So you've just got to learn to do it properly. And I've been sitting here now and learning to do the heel toe shifting. And it's doable. I mean, I'm finding it difficult because none of my rig is actually secured to anything. So my pedals are moving around just a little bit on this wooden floor. And the stick shifter is moving around on this board. And that's my fault. It has nothing to do with the shifter. So I think if you're going to get this, it needs to be absolutely rigid. You need it attached to a proper rig. You need to have your pedals attached so that you can do proper heel toe. I'm finding it difficult here because it's just not a sophisticated enough setup in terms of the frame. It's letting down the excellent direct drive R9 wheelbase from MOZA. So you've got to do it properly or not at all, I think. And I'd be happy with doing it not at all. You know, you saw I reached for the gear shifters here on the steering wheel because that makes perfect sense. It's the kind of racing games that I like to play. I like playing Formula 1 and even a lot of road-ish cars, like the BMW M3 for instance, do actually have paddle shifters as well as having a stick shift. So, I don't know, I think I would love to have this set up really well, but my rig is not quite good enough for it. But in terms of the build quality, it's excellent. It does feel really good. It works perfectly well with the Assetto Corsa here. It feels like it was made for the game and the game made for it. It really does feel like I'm in a car, but in a car that's really difficult to drive because the wheel's not attached to the chassis and all that. So it's my fault and not MOZA's. So I suppose that's a takeaway that other videos won't have because I've seen other people's videos and they're all brilliant. So the shifter itself I think is great, but I need to get a better rig to use it properly. Is it fun? Yes, absolutely. Should you use the auto blip? No, you should learn it properly. So I do recommend getting the stick shifter, but only if you've got an actual frame that's going to work it properly. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do check out the rest of my channel where I've got reviews of other MOZA products, including the wheel itself and the wheel base, and also the pedals and the little monitor as well, so that you can see what gear and everything. I've got other gaming videos on my channel as well, with retro games and tech reviews, as well as music and plenty more. So take care until next time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Cheers.